Mariners win 3-2. They improve to 4-5 on the season. They take the first two games of the series with the Guardians and they win their first series of the season. Hallelujah. Let's talk about how it happened. In the first inning, Eugenio, not Luis, Eugenio Suarez singles to score Julio Rodriguez to give the Mariners another 1-0 lead. It seems like they've scored in the first inning in pretty much every game, but I'm not complaining about it. They get a second one. They get Kelenic to single to right, scores another run to make it 2-0. They do leave the bases loaded. I'll talk a little bit about that inning in a little bit. In the second inning, they get another run from that man, Eugenio Suarez, who has just been so good over these first few games to make it 3-0. Guardians do get a run in the fifth on a Miles Straw double, and Jose Ramirez also doubles in a run in the seventh. We'll talk about those doubles in a second as well to make it 3-2. But the bullpen does their job, and it's a big win. It's a big win because it gives you the series. Mariners needed to win a series. And when I say needed, it's not like if they started 3-7, the season's over. But you got to win series at some point, man. This is the whole point. We quoted Denny Green with the let him off the hook. Now we're going to quote my good friend Herman Edwards that you play to win the game. Like, this is the goal. This is the goal, is to win series. And the more series you win, the better chance of winning the division, the better chance of going further in the postseason and winning a gosh dang World Series. Winning World Series is important, and they have done that on the road in their very first attempt, and you love to see it. So it's kind of fun to just start with the negatives on the losses, just because then we can spend more time talking about the fun stuff. Another really bad game for Colton Wong, 0 for 4. Drops might be a controversial word, but that is one of those doubles from Jose Ramirez that scored a run. I think that's a drop. I think your second baseman should make that play. If not, get the hell out of the way for your outfielder who was almost camped under the ball. I watched the replay of it. And yeah, Teoscar probably could have called him off. There could have been a little better communication, but man, that play's got to get caught. And ultimately, it goes off the glove of Wong, who is now hitting 043 with a 214 on base percentage. That's not good. That is not good. Move him down in the lineup to 7th. Ultimately, I think Colton Wong is still going to be a average starting second baseman, but there's no denying that he has not looked good in these first 9 games. Not been a positive start for him whatsoever. Giving him the benefit of the doubt, though, because even though he was terrible defensively last year, he has a track record of being better there, and he has hit right-handers, especially last year. He was really good against him. I'm still believing. Teoscar Hernandez goes 0 for 3. Did his sting a baseball that would have went off at least the wall if not for some really icky wins today, for lack of a better term. I have no doubt that he's going to be fine offensively. Negatives on the pitching side, just the one. Matt Festa has not looked good in these appearances. He really struggled to throw strikes. The hit he allows is something that actually went off his glove, but it was hit with decent contact, and he did not throw strikes. 6 of 14 pitches, gives up a walk. Not been great. Somebody that they kind of had to use him after using the big arms in the win on Friday. Yeah. But definitely somebody you're not trusting in high leverage situations right now. Definitely not something. All right, let's start the positives, and we'll stick in the bullpen. Paul Sewald was kind of shaky, but ultimately gets the job done. Gabe Speier was great. Gabe Speier needs to be a part of this bullpen right now. Now, that could change, but it's worth pointing out he was pretty darn good in a small sample for Kansas City last year. He's looked really good, and I do think it's nice to have a lefty in the bullpen. I do think that, look, it's not the old days. I kind of miss the old days. I'm sorry to get my Abraham J. Simpson on again and yell at this cloud, but I do kind of miss the days of the loogie. As a guy who grew up with Tony Fossis and, Lee Guterman and pitchers like that, I like that situation. And I think it creates a little more strategy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know people hate bullpen changes and you hate going to commercial for watching a guy come in to face one guy, I loved it. It's what I grew up with. I totally understand the need for the change though, because we need young baseball fans, and young baseball fans do not love watching pitching changes in a guy pitch. It would be so funny looking at stats of guys like Jesse Orosco and Tony Foss having like, this is a little hyperbolic, but it's like 75 appearances and 38 innings or something like that, because it was just literally their one job was to get that left-hander out. I loved it. I kind of miss it, but it is not for everybody, and that's okay. I thought Marco Gonzalez was okay today. Do I think he was terrible? Obviously, I don't think he was terrible because he wasn't. But do I think he was deserving of 5 2/3 innings of one-run baseball? No, I do not. Had some issues with control early on. Gives up 6 hits. Does have the 5 strikeouts and got some swings and misses, which was nice to see. Definitely a better start than the one he had in his previous outing. But he was pretty fortunate to just give up the 1 run. Pretty fortunate to just give up the 1 run. One real quick negative too, that first inning. They got 2 runs. It should have been a lot more. Should have been a lot more. And unfortunately, one of the reasons they didn't is because Hernandez, who I think is going to be fine, when you have the bases loaded and nobody out and a guy just walked, if you swing at that first pitch, you better crush it. And he hit it about 110 feet in the air. So that was one bad thing. They have had a lot of left on base type of guy. I don't know the exact stats. They went 4 for 10 today with runners in scoring position. You know, that's solid. I will take a 400 average for sure. They did leave 8 on. Now, the Guardians left 12. That's tough to win with. That is very tough to win with. But, you know, I'd like to see a little better situational hitting. But that is tough to complain about when you win. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you won 3 of 4 and things are going well. Julio with another solid day. Ty France 2 for 5. Gets a hustle double because, man, I really like Stephen Kwan as a player. I would be challenging his arm every opportunity that I get. Dude can't throw. It's accurate, but there's no velocity on that guy. None. So, yeah, take advantage. I was talking to a buddy of mine who's a big fan of the Guardians, and he pointed out, he had 8 assists last year, and I'm guessing it's because everybody was challenging dude. And the one fortunate thing for him is he is accurate. He does have the ability to get the ball there, so he can get some of the slower runners who get a little aggressive instead of assertive. But man, I would be challenging Stephen Kwan at every chance. Julio solid, Ty France solid. Eugenio Suarez has just been great. It's amazing to see how productive he's been. I still don't think he has a homer yet, which is bonkers. Obviously, Eugenio Suarez is not going to hit 389. With that swing and miss, it's impossible. It's impossible to hit 389 regardless. But when you strike out as much, if not more, than anybody in baseball, that's not happening. But it's been awesome to see him contribute in this way. Cal Raleigh, doesn't get a hit, but does draw a walk. I think his approach has been really good, and the dingers are coming. Let's talk about Jared Kelenic, man. Because I will say that I was harsh towards him on our Mollywop show on Monday. And deservedly so, because I do think he looked kind of lost at the plate. This was awesome to see. He goes 3 for 4 with the RBI. It's his first 3-hit game since 2021. Man, just an outstanding game. Also gets a stolen base. That's the second of the year. We'd love to see that. I love what I've seen from Kelenic for the majority of the year. And it's carried over from the spring training. I love seeing that. Like, he laced a baseball into left field today that reminded me of the old Kelenic. Like, when I say the old Kelenic, it's a weird thing to say for a 23-year-old, but like the guy who looked like he was going to be hit over power as a minor league player. Like a perfect slashing swing that just stroked a line drive into left field. It was fun to see. It gave me kind of not chills, but I was like, oh, if we can see this dude with the power that he's developed to, oh, what an offensive threat this guy could be. Now let me see it for a couple of weeks. That's what I want to see. I want to see that Jared Kelenic though, because I know he can hit the ball over the fence. I know the power is going to come. I mean, the Mariners have a bunch of guys with power who are slugging in. Teoscar Hernandez slugging 375, Raleigh slugging 357, Kelenic slugging 391. All of those guys are going to be slugging much higher than that come, the summer months. But I love seeing him slash the baseball to the opposite field. And that's twice this year that I've seen him make extremely hard contact to the left field side. And I just love it. So big for him because it's so much more difficult to pitch to him. Still don't understand why teams are throwing him fastballs. I would be making him show me that he can hit a breaking ball until he just consistently does it at least. Because if you throw him a fastball, you're taking a huge risk. Because he's just been not great again off speed pitches, but I love seeing that. I love seeing Jared Kelenic hit the ball the opposite way. Yeah, good win. Good win. Good all-around win where they only score 3 runs and do all of their damage in the first 2 innings, but a lot of positives to take from it. A lot of positives. Some negatives. Really worried about the confidence of Wong. And the reason I'm worried about the confidence of Wong is just because I shouldn't be, I guess. I don't know Colton Wong. I have followed him from afar, and he's probably a very confident dude because I know he's considered like a gym rat and stuff like that. So, but man, this is a bad start. Bad start offensively and defensively. I was actually looking on Baseball Savant, and they had him in like the 73rd percentile in outs above average, which just tells me that it's April 8th because I have not been impressed defensively. Not at all. Tom Murphy, nice to see him finally get on the board. Was very funny that he asked for the baseball after the double. Good to have a sense of humor because he went 0 for 13 before that double. Yeah. Yeah, that was fun. 4-5 now. Which, if you're curious, if you go 4-5 for the whole season, just go 4-5, 4-5, 4-5. You go 72-90, which isn't very good. But if you go 5-4, you go 90-72. Isn't it amazing how that works? Just that little difference. Extra win here and there could make a big difference. Tomorrow's pitching matchup, we got George Kirby against Zach Plesac. Expect Kirby to be much better this time around. Mainly because I don't want to say he can't be worse, but Kirby's too good to have another start like that. He was pretty bad in that last one. But yeah, it'd be awesome to get a sweep. Really nice to get a sweep. And then you've got 6 games after that against a mediocre Cubs team and a bad Colorado Rockies team. So, and that gets kind of tough. I hate to be Mr. Follow the Schedule guy, but if you're curious, after the Cubs and the Rockies, you've got the Brewers, the Cardinals, the Phillies, and the Blue Jays. And half of those are on the road in Philadelphia and Toronto. Then you get Double A Midland, and then you get Houston, Texas, Detroit, yada, yada, yada. But that's a pretty tough stretch. I would like to see some dubs because Cardinals lineup really good, pitching okay. Philadelphia, very talented team, even with a bad start. We know how good Toronto is. Be nice to get some wins in that series before you take on Double A Midland to start the May month. Yeah. We won't do too much of that, the scheduling stuff, because we're literally a daily show. We focus on what's in front of us and what's happened to us. And yeah, but yeah, that is interesting. It's going to be an interesting end of April with those teams they play for sure. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. Please follow me on Twitter at Crawford_MILB. Please be nice. Please have a good Easter for those who celebrate. Please have a good Passover for those who celebrate. And participate is really what I should say for both. Yeah, this was fun. Fun win, quick win. Only 17,000 people at that game. Can't really blame them. Saturday, Cleveland looked pretty cold. I like wins. Wins are fun. Let's go get a sweep tomorrow.